I know in California they've got a task force that has been going for reparations. These are the people that are putting the reparations in place as far as for foundational Black Americans. I'm sure a lot of people around here don't know what foundational Black American is. That is pretty much is a descendants of slaves here in America, people who built this country, people that were here since the 1800s that were brought over from Africa and that were enslaved here in America. They are called foundational Black Americans. These are the people that they are going for reparations for. Like I said, there's a task force that's out in California right now, and they've been talking about different ways that they can do this so that people aren't taking advantage of these kind of things. Because what happens is whenever they set out money for different groups and they're looking to compensate people for things that happen, there's always other people that weren't involved with that always come in and try to reap the benefits, right? So what they're doing with this is they're making it lineage based. Okay, so what happens is in order for you to qualify to get these reparations, you're going to have to prove that you are a Black American, a descendant of a slave, and it's going to have to go all the way back to the 1800s, the 1870s. And if your name is not on that census sheet as Negro, you will not be allowed to get the reparations, right? Because what was happening even back then, right? So what happened with the Native Americans, the red Native Americans, when they were awarded their land and their land grants that they had and their reparations that they gave that America gave them, what happened was there's these things called the Dawes rolls, and you had to be on this census thing listed as a Native American, and that way they'll know that they can give you those benefits. But what was happening was it was people who classified themselves as white would go to these people that were in charge of those Dawes rolls and give them $5 under the table and say, hey, put me on that list and I can reap those benefits, right? And so you can actually look it up. It's called a $5 Indian is what it's called. And were white people given money under the table to be put as a Native American so they can reap those benefits. That's why when you go to, I think the first time that I've ever been to Seneca Niagara Casino, now you always hear, okay, they're ran by Native Americans. So your vision is when you go in there, the people that are working there, the people that are running security, the people that are running things are all red Native Americans. The first time that I went in there, I barely seen a red Native American. These were people with white skin that were running the show. Yes, did I see some red Native Americans in there? I did, but for the most part, it was people that were white that were classified as Native Americans running the show in there. So pretty much what I'm getting to with that is meaning they reap those benefits, and it's went this far down the line to now we have them in control of their stuff now. And there's people like when you see people saying, "Oh, I'm Native American," and you look at the people that they say are Native American and they look white. That's what happened a lot back in the day. People were saying, "Hey, this is what it is." You know what I mean? I'm giving that $5 under the table. Put me on there. So we have to be careful and make sure it's lineage based. When we go and get these reparations, you're going to have to prove, and one of the stipulations is going to be that for 10 years you have to be classified as Black. So you can't go and just say, hey, I consider myself as Black now, and that's what we're going to go by. Like, no, you have to show proof of the last 10 years of you showing that your race is Black. They even want to take it back to birth certificates. I don't know how they're going to do that, but that's whatever the case is. But for people who thinking that it's like out of this world to get reparations, it is not. They've done it plenty of different times. There's plenty of people who've got reparations. In the 80s with Ronald Reagan, they actually gave out $20,000 to Japan. They had them in them camps back like 20, 30 years before that. They had them in some camps and obviously some horrible treatment, whatever. They were awarded $20,000 a piece. Ronald Reagan They put it in place when Ronald Reagan was in office. So it's not out of this world. It's something that is very possible. Matter of fact, y'all have to go look it up. It's all over online YouTube. There was this place called Bruce's Beach. It was in California, and back in the 1920s, there was this black newlywed couple that bought it. They bought the land and they bought the beach for I think it was like 1,200 back then. And what they did was they turned this land and this beach into a resort for black people. Because back then black people weren't allowed to like swim in oceans. You couldn't be in no beach and things like that. Obviously, this is the 1920s, right? So what these people did was they went and bought the land and the beach and they made a resort. I mean, that was it was a fly shit. I mean, they had all types of shit going on there, dance clubs, all this shit, and that's where black people came, and they were able to do their thing. So obviously, what happened was back then the KKK started putting pressure in and started messing with them, and then the county, what the county ended up taking the land from them and saying, hey, we need to use this for a park. And so they stripped the land from them, just took it completely from them. Excuse the noise in the back, doing construction out front. The worst fucking time ever. So they took their land from them, said that we need to use it for a park, left it vacant for decades, decades and decades. Now, what happened is the family now, just back in July, they've been doing it for a while now, but they put in to get their land back, and they were awarded their land in July of this year. Were awarded their land. It's called Bruce's Beach. You have to look it up. Now the county leases the land for $400,000 a year, or they have the option. They gave them the option to sell it for $20 million. I think 20 something $1 million. So they're right now they're leasing it to the county for 400,000 a year, and they could have the option to sell it for 20 million. Now that that shows you right there that they knew that they were wrong. There was people on grassroots levels getting it done for them to get this stuff back. So it's very possible that there's reparations being given back all the time, but it's done on a lower level. It's not done to all black people. It's just been done to people who have had land stolen from them and different things like that. But like I said, going back to the California committee, they have a whole committee put together so that us black people are going to be able to literally get reparations. Like they're starting off they're going to start off with cash payments. And this is the argument with some people. They're like, oh, should we do cash payment? No, we need cash payments just like everybody else got. All right. And then we'll start working on some land grants. Then we'll start working on some tax situations, some schooling, because all that needs to be repaired from what we were put through. Right. And the fact that people have pushback that we could possibly get reparations is just out of this world. Some of the thing is well, where are we going to get this money from? Well, where the hell did we get COVID money from? Where do we get money from when we have to bail out corporations? Right? All of a sudden, we can't get money now when it comes to black people. We can't. We don't know where to get the money at. Right? We can pull trillions of dollars out our ass for corporations. So it's very possible, and they're actually talking about starting off with $20 trillion, $20 trillion, and it's going to be cash payments. Now that's gonna be dope. That's gonna be dope. You're gonna have to prove that you are a descendant of slaves here in America, and that you had family living here during the 1800s that were enslaved, that were infected by it. Affected by it. That is going to be something to look forward to. I'm going to definitely keep everybody in touch. Y'all make sure y'all definitely go look it up yourselves. If y'all ain't been claiming to be black and y'all putting white and whatever else on your census sheet, y'all might not be getting paid. Y'all might not be getting paid. Let me get my brother in here, man. Talk to him real quick. See what he's got to say about it. It's interesting as hell. A lot of people just don't believe that it's possible. I know that it's possible. Like I said, I follow this shit at a grassroots level. Sharina, you said prove that you're a descendant of a slave and prove what? Um, well, you have to. So the things are, you have to prove that you as far as your race being black, you have to, that has to be going back 10 years. So it doesn't give the a person an option to be like, hey, I just want to change my race today and I want to get those benefits. So you have to, prove going back 10 years that you were black. And then you have to choose, you have to prove that you are a descendant of a slave. You know, at least one parent has to go back to that. So that's just a way to get people without coming in and taking advantages of those different grants, whatever the case is. You know, because when the checks start getting hit, you're gonna see a bunch of different people trying to come out the woodworks talking about they black now. Yeah, I know a bunch of y'all is probably not a bunch of y'all is probably watching, but I got a lot of people on my page that they don't want to claim that they black, boy. But I promise you, when them things come out, they're gonna be doing that. You said how do you prove what though, Hannah? Which part? Like as far as your being a descendant of slave, that's pretty easy. There's census sheets going way back to the 1800s, and that's how they, with the ancestries and stuff like that, they can prove that stuff very easy. As far as anything else, what up, y'all?
Thanks.
As far as anything else, as far as like proving that you claim to be black on different things, that has to go. I mean, there's proof. I mean, you do your taxes. There's different things like that that they show proof on there. On they ask you what your race is. So there's ways to go back and to prove those things. So
I'm actually doing that now. I got, I'm at the final step in my DNA process. I know a lot of people don't like doing it, but I just want to see where we actually descend from. Because somebody telling me that my dad ain't from, a descendant of
man,
Africa.
listen, hey man, I don't want to hear it. Our last name, our
Yeah.
last name, Armstrong. You what you thought that's a slave name right there. Your arm is strong. That's what we gonna name you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. But for anybody to tell me that my father is not a descendant from Africa, this cat.
right.
But no, we actually used to joke with Dad when he come home from work. We have the African tribal music playing when he came in the house. Can you imagine dealing with kids like us?
Yeah, it was asshole.
Like us?
Um,
God.
but yo, did you hear about that Bruce's Beach thing before
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
was just talking about?
I was kind of in and out, but it's that's definitely cool. I never kind of dove into that. I never heard that before. So today that's definitely going to be on my earphones and on my phone. But as far as the reparations go, I agree, 100%. But they're not going to no one's going to let that happen. The public, you know what I mean? And
What happened?
well, they're not going to. People aren't going to agree with it, right? So we're living in that, that cancel culture type thing, and I see it just meet roadblock after roadblock, and a lot of states that try to put stuff into legislation, they've already met those roadblocks. It's already been blocked, or hasn't gone through the House, and so I see it being a struggle as it's
Well,
always.
it's gonna be a struggle.
Absolutely.
And it ain't gonna be easy for them to go do it, and it hasn't been easy, but it is 100% possible, and it is like they are making moves. Like
Yeah.
you gotta definitely tap in a little bit. Like they have a whole committee together, and these committees like they just voted. I think it was 4 out of 5 people voted about the being able to prove the lineage based, like that's
Right.
how you're going to have to prove it or whatever. And
Yeah.
so when they have all that set to come through, and it just, it's not just random ass people that are putting these things into place. These are lawyers. And they hired a bunch of economicists, or how, I don't know what they call them.
I guess.
A bunch of people that study economics,
Right. Right.
and those people are studying different ways and how much money that they're gonna be able to put to the forefront and be like, here, whatever.
Yeah.
And the proof is in the pudding. Like I said, we got all the information of how they've paid different groups things. I mean, they've done it with the Asians. They gave Asians some money not too long ago. They did it with
Well, see what.
the Arabs, different people.
Right. And what a lot of people, a lot of Americans are going to say is, oh, they had, and we heard it, 1,000 times before about the white slaves and what we would call, indentured servitude. Like it's a total separate thing. And those people either paid off their debt and they were compensated afterwards, like a severance package.
Right.
They weren't actually, not to diminish it or minimize it, but it wasn't chattel,
But it
slavery.
was a whole nother, and that's a whole nother argument. Like I'm saying,
Yeah,
like if they want to go after that, okay, go after that. Get some people to start going after people that were white slaves or whatever the case is, right? But
yeah.
we have to like narrow it down to where it's like what happened to the slaves here in
Yeah.
America and just focus on that. Because
Well,
like what's happening too is
topic, right? And that's just me playing, devil's advocate. People
well,
don't
right.
topic, right? And it's always because, and it could be a jealousy thing. I see it all the time. Like people are just like, oh, we're giving them money again. Well, that's because you don't qualify. Now, if they would have qualified for some of that money they were giving away, as far as during the tax breaks and things like that, mom, right? You'd hear
Right.
mom. You hear about the college, being paid for, up to
Yeah,
an.
but see, and this is the thing, right? So every time that I bring up the black person situation here in America and I put it in perspective, people are like, oh, okay, I get it. Because like
Right.
we don't understand, right? So like what happened to black people here in America was what, 500 years? I
Yeah.
mean, at the most brutal shit for 500 years and literally never been compensated one penny, right? But then
Yeah.
you have things like I said, the Japanese. When that happened to the Japanese, they had to give them money. You have things like what happened with the Jews. Now, the Germany did pay America money to give the Jews here, but still, in that case, the Holocaust, that whole situation from when Hitler was in office to when he died was all of like 12 years,
Yeah.
literally 12 years, and you should see how much the Jewish community flourished, and we haven't seen a single dollar for 500 years of torture and everything else that comes with it, and we haven't seen a dollar. So if anybody who doesn't agree with that, I'm kind of like looking at them sideways, like,